Tranquil mind finds a shelter where no anger, hate, shedding blood. Gunfire seeking safety under humanity. There is love, friendship, and equity. No more war and violence and rape for peace. No more war and violence and rape for peace.
Hello, my friends. Good evening to you. Warm welcome to the show Poets Without Borders FB Live. Today we have somebody very special, very distinguished with us. Many people here are familiar with him. He's the man behind the Munir Mezyed Foundation for Culture and Arts. And we have here with us Mr. Munir Mezyed himself. And am I saying your last name right, sir? Mezyed or Mezyed? How do you say it?
Munir Mezyed.
Mezyed, right. Warm welcome to you, sir. Such a pleasure and honor to have you here. And before we begin, I would just like to say a few words about you, introducing you to some of our friends who might be meeting you for the first time and who will be sending their greetings to you. So you want to say hello to them as well. Our poet today is a Palestinian poet in exile living in Romania. He will be talking about his long journey in poetry, in life, in various other activities with us today at length. So I hope that you are going to enjoy it. Let us begin with that very short introduction. And having said that, let me also add that he has penned over 100 books of poems. And he has been translated in very many languages of this world. His entire books have been translated in so many languages, in Greek, in other languages as well. So many of them. So I have also had the honor of translating a few of his poems in Hindi and shared it on Facebook, and we will, read it again another time someday. But today I have just so many questions for him that I cannot wait. So we will first begin with so many things that have been in the news in the past few days. And I'm just going to be, very straightforward, and let us start talking about some issues that have, gripped our attention. You were born in Palestine, is that right? So do you have some early memories of Palestine?
No, I was born in...
Hi.
No, I tell you, my family were living in Jordan, but they are originally from Palestine. I born in Jordan, and I went to England. I studied in England. Then I moved to the United States of America. And after that, I returned back to Jordan. Then I came to Romania in 2005.
Okay.
So I am originally... my family are Palestinian. I'm from a Palestinian family, but I told you I am Jordanian Palestinian, Palestinian Jordanian. You can say that. So, but my family are Palestinian, but I born in Jordan.
Wonderful, wonderful. So at some point in time, your family migrated from Palestine, and you also have family there right now in Palestine, or no?
Yes, I have my family, because my family are in Palestine, but not all. Most of my family are living in Palestine in a small area small villages called Talluza, Wadi al-Baydan, and Al-Far'a. It's a district of Nablus. There are some villages around the big city is called Nablus. So this is where I am from, originally from.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now here is my question, and I am naive about the politics of the area, but still, I mean, what do you think? I mean, how do you feel things are going there? Are you happy with the kind of peace deal that was brokered? I mean, thank God at least it was brokered, right? I mean, that peace was established. But are you happy with what's happening? Are you happy with what's going on there?
Well, there it's a big chaos, to be honest with you. First of all, the whole world wants to solve the Palestinian problem, but actually they are not putting so much effort to do that. In 1990, there was a Madrid conference, international conference to solve the Palestinian. Many countries, they are supporting of establishing a Palestinian state, independent state. But sadly, the Israelis did not commit themselves for peace, and they have want to annex all the Palestinian territories. They keep building settlements in Palestinian territories, and things do not look good. And the worst thing what could happen now is that this conflict can go on for many years. And sadly, if this conflict goes on and keeps going on, that we will find a big clash in the world, because Palestinian issue, it's very sensual. I mean, very sensitive issue, because of a lot of reasons. First of all, the Arabs and the Muslim will not accept, Jerusalem not to be part of Palestinian state. So the real conflict in the coming, I see it in the coming years, it will be over Jerusalem. Jerusalem will be the core of a big clash of civilization. When we talk about the clash of civilization, it will be now Jerusalem. The source of this, it will be over Jerusalem. Because Jerusalem is very important city for the Muslims, for the Christians, and for the Jews. And this state should not belong to one religion. It should be open to everyone. And if we don't solve this conflict, and especially with Jerusalem's problem, then we can expect a big war in the world. And you can see the last time what happened in the protests all over the world. It was the reason of this conflict. It's over Jerusalem. So the only way to solve this problem is to create two states that can live in peace together, Palestinian states along with Israeli state. And the Palestinian state should be with Palestinian territories, which is occupied in 1976, according to the law, according to the United Nations resolutions and the Arab resolution. Otherwise, we would not have peace. I mean, the peace is too far. The conflict of Palestinian issue, it looks too far to me.
Right. But there are other parts of Palestine which are also under occupation, like you just said, that Israel just keeps extending its settlements, and probably Netanyahu pursued a very belligerent policy and he had to go. So probably there was some rethinking done in Israel as well. But hold on. My question is a little bigger than this. There is this point.
Like I said, the Palestinian. I am talking as a human being, as intellectual. I'm not talking just as a Palestinian. I think the Palestinian people have the right to have their own independent state. They have the right to live in freedom. They have to live like other people. They have their identity. They can travel like people. You can't keep the people Palestinian as a refugee. This is a catastrophe. We talk about here about human rights here. We talk about not just a political conflict. It's a matter of human rights. The Palestinian peoples have the right. Palestinian people have the right to live in peace, to live in freedom, to practice their culture, to practice their, just like any other nation. We cannot just expect that there will be peace without the Palestinians. Okay, Netanyahu was trying to make peace with the United Arab Emirates, with Qatar, with Bahrain, with Sudan, with Morocco. But he's not willing to make peace with Palestinians, and it's not going to work this way. The main conflict is with the Palestinians, and above all, the Palestinians will not give up their rights. They have rights; they will have to have it. But the Palestinians are not looking for wars. The Palestinian people, by the way, most of the people who does not understand the Palestinian conflict, they see us that Palestinians are the one who are aggressors. No, we lived in our land. And we were driven from our land. And to solve this problem, first of all, you have to admit the right of the Palestinian peoples. Palestinian peoples have rights to practice, to live like a human being. At the same time, the international laws, the resolutions, none of these implied on this matter. So, if
I have a question, I have a sensitive.
We have to have the Palestinian state.
Israel.
You understand? So we can all be peaceful. But if they don't want to create a Palestinian state, then we can have a big problem. You understand?
Your voice just disappeared. Hi. Your voice just disappeared. So what I was saying is that it's a sensitive question.
No, I'm here. Do you hear me now?
I can, but let me finish my question. Before Israel occupied these territories, were the Palestinian territories not occupied by some of its other neighbors like Egypt and even Jordan and another state? Were they not before, I think, the 6-Day War or one of those wars? Palestinian territory was also occupied by these neighbors, right? Is that not right? You're not being able to hear me?
No, first of all, Palestine, yes, actually Palestine was under the British mandate. Mandate. And what did the British? They divided the Palestinian territories. They gave Gaza to Egypt, they gave West Bank to Jordan, and the coast of Palestine, they gave it to Israeli to build the state of Israel. And the West Bank was part of Jordan. And when in 1966-67, when Israeli also occupied the West Bank, and they took the West Bank completely with East Jerusalem, and this is where and Gaza, and this is inflamed. So many millions of Palestinians have been driven out of their land, and we're still suffering from that time. Okay, the Palestinians want, like I told you, Palestinians, like other people, they want to live in peace. They want to have to get back their rights. Okay, and now Mr. Biden or the new administration of America, they say that they want to build a Palestinian state. But how are they going to build the Palestinian state without Jerusalem? Palestinian people, I am telling you honestly, Palestinian people will not accept without Jerusalem as the capital of Palestine. I'm talking about East Jerusalem, because East Jerusalem, it has all the holy places for Christians and the Muslims. And for this reason...
Right, but there is... Right, sir, but there are lots of problems, right? There is war, and each time there is a skirmish, there are deaths, and there are terrible things. So for the sake of human, life and peace and dignity, why can Palestine not accept, Jerusalem to be a part of Israel and make another capital in Ramallah as it is now? Of course, the settlement areas might withdraw. I mean, do you think that people will agree to it, and why can they not if it gets better for them, right?
You know, I am telling you, even if they create Palestinian state without Jerusalem as its capital, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not only for the Palestinian, the Muslim, the whole Muslim. You are talking about here about 1.5 point or almost 2 billion Muslim in the world. They will not accept that because Jerusalem, East Jerusalem, it's a holy shrine for the Muslim, and they just cannot give it up like this. I mean, and sadly, that will lead us to a religious war, and this is what we don't want. You understand? I said that long time ago that if Mr. Samuel Hamilton talk about the clash of civilization, then the core of civilization will be Jerusalem. Jerusalem will be the fight over Jerusalem will cause us clash of civilization. Because now look at the fanatic in both sides, and whether the Palestinian or the Israeli, they are both sides using this to inflame the problem, and that will not help us. We need the people who have sense to understand that the Israeli cannot survive without having peace with Palestinian, but Israeli cannot go on occupying the Palestinian land and expect to have peace. No, they will not. It's impossible.
Right. Now, there were several street protests in favor of Palestine, in favor of the Palestinian cause. They were saying free Palestine, right, in the UK. I hope that you saw all of that. So do you think it helps? Do you think it helped? Did you gain anything? Did the Palestinian state gain anything out of it? Did the people get anything out of it?
Maybe the Palestinian, yes, they gain out that most of the people start to see the real conflict. I mean, the cause of the conflict. Before they did not see the conflict. They saw that the Palestinians, they are the aggressors. No, we are not the aggressors, actually. We are under the occupation. And someone has under the occupation has the right to be free. I mean, this is the basic law of humanity. And but in the real ground, we don't see any improvement. And up to now, we as Palestinians, we don't see any improvement. The Israelis still building settlements. They're still annexing Palestinian territories. They're still expanding their activity in settlement. So I don't see that there is a peace very close. I mean, it's impossible. It seems it's going to be worse by time.
Yeah. So what I was saying that maybe that should stop first and foremost to an extent to be
the first thing that Israeli should stop building settlement and annexing the Palestinian territories. This is the first step. I mean, if they're going to continue doing what they are doing now, then there will be no peace. We are too far from the peace.
Right. Okay, we can talk about the Palestinian situation and the conflict and the possibility of peace the whole time, but I want to talk about your writing, sir. And, you are also very well politically connected. Like I often see your pictures with the princes of Romania, right? And also other, politicians. Are you also interested in politics yourself? Would you ever want to join politics in Palestine? And tell us about this royal family.
No, I don't want to be honest with you. I am a poet and writer. I am not interested in politics, but we have to admit that politics influence us, affect us. I'm not a politician, and I don't have any ambition to be a politician. But for instance, if I become a president of any country, not just Palestine, Jordan or Egypt or America or France, I always say that we need to take care of health, education, and culture. We don't need to spend money on wars and this kind of technology that we have. For me, maybe I am talking utopia, but I always say I criticize the politician because they are driving us into conflict. I'm a man who want to achieve world peace, and world peace can be achieved through culture, education, and health. If we provide good health for our citizens and give them good education and promote free culture, then the world peace will be achieved. We will not have
And
all this conflict.
you forgot to name literature, right? That world peace can be achieved with culture, you said health and education, and
Yes,
literature as well. I mean, I know that it is a part of education, it's a part of culture, but name it as well, because literature can play a huge role. In fact, I want to ask you this. Do you think that literature can play a huge role, in establishing peace, in brokering peace deals, in, making people negotiate better? And it is not, it is shying away. Do you feel that? Do you think that political poetry is taking sort of a back seat? I mean, it is
of
not
course,
poetry.
of course. Poetry, it's, I will tell you something. Somebody asked me a long time ago a question. Don't you think that poetry is dying? And I said, well, my friend, if poetry dies, humanity dies with it, you know, because poetry is an expression of our feeling, of our dreams, of our fear, of what we have to express. So we all share, whether you are Muslim, you are Buddhist or Hindu, whether you are Indian or Japanese or Arab or Asian, African, we all share the same ideas. We all share the same things. We all want to live, to live in freedom, to live in free. We all seek human justice. I mean, social justice. Good opportunities. So this is poetry expresses these kind of elements that everyone wants, and we have to struggle for that. And poetry can be the bridge between us, because it can, so we can understand each other. Because that what we fear always what we don't know. But when you know, you don't have this kind of fear. We are fearing the other one because we don't know that person. But when we find out that this person is like us, he like me, he has pain, then we will understand. And the only thing can bring people together is through poetry. Poetry it can play a big role in bringing people together and to understand each other. This is the way. For this, we should promote all the time, culture. We should spend a lot of money in education. Education is very important. At the same time, when I'm talking as a politics, I am supporter of a democratic country. It's democracy. I believe in democracy, and I believe in human rights. And the elite of the people should govern, not the politician. The intellectual, they should be part of building the state. And when the elite of the intellectual be part of any state, then we can come all together and build together the world peace. The world peace it cannot be built by one nation. It should belong to everyone. Everyone in this world should have the desire of building peace, and we should communicate with each other and to find the common ground where we can come together. And we should all fight aggression, extremism. We should all fight dictators. We should all fight for our human rights. We should all be supporters of human rights. I mean, you cannot give your right while you deny the other rights. This is not, it does not work. You understand? We should believe in human rights, and we should fight for human rights, and we should give each person in this world, good education. Each person should have education, should have health care, and should have social welfare. With this way, we can build peace. Otherwise, we cannot build peace by war. We cannot build peace with aggression. We cannot build peace by occupying other land. We cannot build peace with without social justice. We can't build peace without democracy. We can't build peace while we are abusing and violating human rights or the rights of women, we cannot build peace like this way. You know, to build a healthy, to build world peace, each country, I'm talking about each country, should strive to build a healthy state. A healthy state, that means should be democratic, should be freedom of speech, human right respect, good education, and health. When each country provide its citizen these elements, then we can all achieve world peace.
Right. Thank you. Now, you know, before we start talking about your literary life in particular, I just want to ask that question again. Tell us a little bit about this royal family of Romania and your friendship with them. Just a little bit.
You know, Romania is like other country in Europe. It was a kingdom, but then came the communists, and you know, they turned it into a communist country. Then the communists fall, and now it's a republic. It's a republic country. It is democratic country. It's a civilian state. We call it a civil state. And this is the what is it? I don't have relation with them. I just meet them, you know, in conferences. I meet Prince Paul in a banquet. I met him in a book launching. I invited him. This is how we interact because, and this, but Romania now, it's not anymore kingdom. It was kingdom 60 years ago, but not anymore. Romania now is a Republican country, a democratic. And the president of this country is Mr. Iohannis. He's elected president by the people.
Right. So you were nominated for the Nobel, right? Are you still nominated? I don't know. These things are a big secret, but I know a little bit because I also wrote a piece on one of your poems. You know, a very appreciated piece on your poem on, I think, Fukushima.
Well, I told you the problem with if we talk about Nobel Prize, it is more politics. The problem is that we have to ask this question. Are Nobel Prize, do the Nobel Prize give to the writer who deserve the Nobel Prize, or some political interest and power? It is more interest and power. Okay. For me, I'm not saying I am a great writer or a best writer. No, I am a writer. I have achieved, or I have given a lot of work in literature, in translation, and I did a lot of activities. So a lot of people who sees that Munir Mezyed deserve to get Nobel Prize. But will I get Nobel Prize? I don't know. But again, if Nobel Prize want to give it to a real writer, I think they should give it to Munir Mezyed. If there is no political interest. But if there is a political interest, I am not in their interest. Because why? How they would give it to someone? I am Munir Mezyed. Okay, I am Munir Mezyed. I am an Arab. How they would give it to an Arab writer who fights against Arab dictators? I am fighting against them. Who's going to support me for Nobel Prize? Of course, they will not. You know, I am not a drum. The Arab, if we talk about the Arab world, if they want to support me for Nobel Prize, I have to be under their shadow. I'm not going to be under the shadow of any Arab government. I'm a free intellectual. When you are a free intellectual, actually you have more enemy than when you are not. If I am a singer to their song, or I dance to their dance, then I will have a lot of publicity, a lot of support. But I am not. You understand? Right. So when you are a free intellectual and you are a free writer, you will not find a lot of support. It's all in you. It's not only me. This is in all our history. In our history, all those free intellectuals, they are put aside.
Yeah.
Because it does not serve their interest. I'm not serving their interest. They consider me a threat to them. So how do you support me for Nobel Prize?
Right. You're supporting human rights, but you're opposing Arab dictators. Tell us a little bit about this, you know, if you want to elaborate. Just elaborate on this. Just tell us the details, you know, because we all witnessed the Arab Spring, right? how what happened in Egypt and what happened
I will
in
tell you what
Tunisia.
happened in Arab Spring. I will be honest with you. I'm telling you as a free intellectual. I don't belong to any political party in the Middle East. I don't support any kind of dictatorships or these things. I will be honest with you. What really happened in Arab Spring? First of all, the young. I played a big role in Arab Spring. In which way? Our young generation want to live free. They want to be part of the of this world we are living in. So they fight for their right. They fight against corruption in the Middle East. There's big corruption in the Middle East. Big corrupted government. So the new generation, they will not accept to live what like their fathers live. Because now we have technology, we have internet, they are more wise, they are more educated, they use a laptop, they use social media, so they are more aware than before. Those young have decided to go out to the street to demand for their rights, and I support them for their rights. What really happened? Qatar, sadly, Al Jazeera played a very dirty role. Al Jazeera. What Al Jazeera did, they brought those who belong to a religious party, it's called Brotherhood of Islam. They started to support them and to show that they were behind the Arab Spring. At the same time, the Arab Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, they started supporting to destroy the Arab Spring. They put billions of dollars to stop Arab Spring, and they turned Arab Spring into a civil war, like what happened in Syria, what happened in Yemen, what happened in Libya. And sadly, they turned Arab Spring into a sea of blood, because they saw that Arab Spring is a threat for their interests. So they come out, okay, and they put their money, they use media, they use writers, and they supported a group of fanatics. They supported terrorism, okay? For why they supported terrorism? Because they will tell us, like, they will tell the Arab, look, either you choose me as a dictator or you choose a terrorist to rule you. They don't give us a chance. I mean, what kind of choice we have? We choose a dictator or a terrorist to be, because both are terrorists. If you think of it, dictators were terrorists. This is how they turned this Arab Spring into a civil war. And it's very sad what happened in Syria, what happened in Libya. When you talk about Syria, 5 million Syrians were expelled from their country. 1 million Syrians were killed. For what? For Mr. Bashar Assad to stay as a president? I mean, this is nonsense. It does not make sense. And look at what happened in Libya. Libya, Mr. Haftar and his gangs, they still want to think that he's God on earth. He's putting all the, the page in him, and he is turning Libya into a civil war. And they don't want to let democracy go on. And the two countries are responsible for that, Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. They are the two responsible for destroying Arab Spring. They don't want Arab Spring. They don't want democracy in the Middle East. They don't care about the human rights. They have no respect for a human right. This is the big issue we are facing in the Middle East.
Right, and the war in Yemen. The war in Yemen, right? It's
look at war Yemen, how they turn it. I mean, Houthi. I'm not supporting Houthi, but Houthi are Yemeni. They are part of Yemen. They have to be in the part of the government. Why Saudi Arabia and Emirates has to go there and invade that Yemen and destroy that country and kill the children and kill the women in the name of what? What are you going to bring them there? The Yemeni people has the right to live freedom. They have the right to live in democratic country.
Absolutely, absolutely. So why do you think does Saudi Arabia do this? Why is it playing such a vicious dictatorial role, and why is nobody else saying anything?
Yes, they are willing, because Saudi Arabia is a dictatorial like United Arab Emirates. A group family is controlling Saudi Arabia, and a small family also controlling Dubai. I mean, Emirates. These two families, okay, they have billions of dollars. They are living like sultans, which is beyond our imagination how they live. They have billions of dollars, How they can sacrifice all this? Because democracy,
Yes.
because democracy is their threat, so they are willing to pay money so they can stay. It's like they think that it's their. They don't think they are ruling a country. They think they have this country is belong to them, so they believe that they have to defend it, and they defend it. Why? I defend it by me being a president. I mean, it does not make sense. The people there, they have no rights. They have no right to participate in any election. They have no right to practice their freedom. They have no right to practice their political views. They don't have. So a group of a family is controlling everything, controlling the economy, the media, everything, and it's their interest. For democracy, it's a big threat to their interest. For this, they're going to pay money to continue those. They are not willing. And those Americans, if America thinks that Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates gonna go on to do reformation or do any political reformation, they are, I'm sorry to say that, the Americans are very stupid then. These countries will not change. They will also, because dictatorship serves their interest.
Right. Now, you were recently, not recently, a few months back, maybe a year ago, you were in Tunisia, right? Remember,
Yes.
we were all going to go to Tunisia for this festival that you were going to organize, dear sir. And we had all actually made plans. And then it had to be cancelled. Do you want to talk a little bit about that trip?
Yes, I will tell you. Tunisia, it's one of Arab country that passed into Arab Spring. So
Actually,
that country,
that is where it
Saudi,
started, Stella. Remember?
Tunisia,
Yeah.
yes, Tunisia. It's a country is fighting to be a democratic country, but also there are a lot of money pumped in Tunisia, okay, to bring back Tunisia as it was before, not to be a democratic. At the same time, the old regime, or they call it the deep state, they are still in power. They control the economy, they control everything. Now, what they are doing to the Tunisian, they are telling them, look, you have to choose. Either you choose to a dictator or you will be very poor. You will have no health. Now they are not giving in Tunisia now. There is no services, no health, no education, nothing. People are living in a very miserable condition, and they tell them, okay, this is what Arab Spring brought you. No, it's not. It's not true. This is what the deep state who are linked with Saudi Arabia and Emirates and the media of Saudi Arabia, because all our media, sadly, all Arab media is lying. It's the biggest threat to the Arab people is the Arabic media. And the Arabic media is sponsored by Saudi and by the money of Saudi and Emirates. So people doesn't know the truth. So for this, why people say, oh, we don't need democracy, we don't need, we just want to live. You know, this is how they bring the people. So they accept dictator to kill them, to jail them. Just why? Because they think they're going to live. No, they're not going to live. And this is the manipulation of Arabic media. I don't trust Arabic media. Arab media is the worst in this world. They are. Don't tell me, Annie. I'm telling you, 90% of Arabic media, it is not a media. It's a gang. It's like a gang. They are trying to promote some sort of ideas, but they are all supporting terrorism and fanatism.
Right. Very sadly, you know, Indian press is free to an extent, but there are problems here as well. But I thank you for, you know, this candid view on media, because we don't know all of this, right? I mean, we don't know such deep things about the Arab Spring. My question is, would you ever want to go back to Tunisia and organize another festival? Do you see that?
No way. No. I am sorry to say that. I will never go to Middle East anymore. I'm not interested to go there because it's useless. It is useless. I told you, I tried to make this festival. I tried to make Odyssey in 2003 in Jordan. I had a lot of problems. I lost money. I lost my time. I had to leave my family. I have to leave everything to come to Romania. And when I went to Tunis, I went 3 times there. I lost so much money, so much time, so much effort, so much for what? If I do it again, then I'm stupid. There is no way I can do this festival or this when I see all the Arab regime is gone. We need change in Arab world. If we don't change, that's it. We are. By the way, I'm telling you, it's very sad. The Arab world, it's in a big now. It's in a big mess, living in a chaotic situation, and there are a lot of interest there, and all these interests conflicting each other, and soon we will see us crashing like idiots in the world. And for this, I call my friend here in Europe and to the American and Asian, please help us like people like Munir Mezyed, who is calling for democracy, to respect human rights, because we want to be part of this civilization. Otherwise, we will have all these kind of wars all the time.
Right. And I think the situation in Yemen is really, calling for active interference to stop the war, right? They're still, very dire situation. So, just coming back to that, would you ever want to, you're saying you'll never go back to the Middle East, but would you ever want to organize, say, a festival in Egypt or Algeria or someplace like that? A friend of mine.
Really, I told you, I would love to make this festival somewhere Middle East, but they will allow me to make it? No, they will not. This simple as that.
But why is that? Why?
I told you, their problem, as I told you, if I want to invite liberal or intellectual who are free spirit, they don't want that. They want their own people, and they want to keep their own interest. They want to tell you what they want to tell you. You're not supposed to come and tell to the people about human rights, about democracy, about culture. No. You're not allowed. You should sing to the glory of the president. You should say that he is God in earth. This kind of culture they're going to promote. I am not willing to promote such kind of culture. I'm not. And if you want to make a festival, they will use it for their political interest. I will not be agenda of any political or politician. I cannot be.
Thank you.
I am Munir Mezyed. I can't be. I live for culture and I die for culture. I die for the respect of human rights. I'm not good. I'm not willing to change. I'm not willing to compromise. This is what they don't understand. I am not willing to compromise my principle, my ideas, for any gain, for any benefits. I'm not willing. I would rather stay like what I am now than if they want to do it. I told you, if any Arab country wants to do this festival, they have to do it in my way, not in their way.
Absolutely.
And not to be under their umbrella or to serve any political or religious agenda. I am not interested in that.
Now, coming to your poems, sir, you have about 100 books, 100 collection, lots of love poems, poems for humanity, and political poems as well, like you said, opposing dictatorship. Do you want to read a few? Is there a poem that you would like to read?
No, to be honest with you, I'm not in the mood to read poetry now. So we make a poetry reading for other time, but we can talk about poetry, because poetry reading, I need to be peaceful. I need a special atmosphere, because we've been talking about politics. So I prefer. I would like people to read my poetry through my Facebook, through my books. My poetry is valuable. I don't. By the way, I want to inform you. So all my poems are published. I don't have people not to access to my poems. No, every person on this earth can access to my poems. And I am also happy that my poems can be found in all languages. You can find it in all languages. Plus, I have good translator. They're translating my poems. My poems, it talks about not just one topic. I did not write about one theme. I talk about humanity. I talk about love. I talk about the people suffering. At the same time, I have my own way, my style of writing. All my poems is trying to tell the people one message: we all should live in peace. We should live all in freedom, and you can feel that in my poem. I have also wrote poetry in kind of. I wrote sensual poetry. I write erotic poetry, love poetry, symbolic, surrealism, passionate poetry, all kind of, but humanity, about water, about air, about space, metaphysical, religious. I have a lot of. I think I talks about all kind of topics. And above all, I told you I have almost now 50 poetry books in Arabic and 50 poetry books in English. It's 100, and I have other 100 books about the translation, other things. But I think. Maybe, I don't know, but I think I am the poet who wrote the huge poetry, more than any poets in this earth.
Wonderful. Congratulations for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your favorite collections out of these 100.
To be honest with you, you are asking me just like a father asking like I ask a father, which of your daughter or son you like? It's all my children. Okay. And I tell you something. Some poems, I said, oh, I should have written this much better. No, it was like this that time. That time I was in that level of intellectuality. Now my poem is different than when I wrote when I was maybe 30 years ago. But they are all my children. They are all important to me because they, I tell you why. The reason why I have told you, I'm a free intellectual. I never wrote to please others. I am honest to myself first. So when I'm honest to myself, I'm honest to my feeling. So I write my feeling. I express my ideas. For this, each book it represents time or period of my life. Some poems, when I was a child, I still love them. Okay, they might not that great poems, but at that time, it's that time, because we also grow up. We grow more intellectually. I cannot say my poems, what I write now, when I wrote 30 years ago. No, it's not on the same level. But I expect them the same because they are truly the way I felt at that time. They present me.
And it has its own beauty. Sometimes, the way the moments are captured, the moods are captured, it has its own beauty and it's irreplaceable. It shouldn't even be too much edited or changed or made to look like something else. No, it really has its own beauty. And I think that poetry shows, its age as well. Do you know what I mean? Like you're saying that the poetry you wrote as a young man are different from what you're writing now, now that, you have passed from there to a more mature understanding of what's happening around you. But that has its own beauty, right?
Yes.
So that's very important. So, tell us a little bit more about, what are the themes that you have written in Arabic? Like you said, it's my mood and I write. I'm also a bilingual writer, but what are the themes that you have written most in Arabic and which themes have you written in English? Is there a division or?
No, I tell you something. Beside poetry, I translated a lot of poetry. I translated, for instance, I translated Romanian modern poetry to Arabic. I translated Chinese and Japanese poetry to Arabic. I translated Serbian poetry to Arabic. I translated Arabic poetry to English. I translated almost 400 poems, Arabic poems, to English. I have translated so much. I translated also French poetry to Arabic. Some Italian poems I translated to Arabic and to English. So I translated a lot of poetry in my life. At the same time, I'm interested in writing about philosophy, about religion, so on. And now I'm writing a very interesting book, which will be finished hopefully by the end of this year. I'm talking about a very interesting topic. It's called the state failure, that when the nation will fall. You know, I'm talking about, in this book, I'm discussing the element, very important elements, themes. I'm discussing about the meaning of culture, what is science, what is religion, what is philosophy, what does it mean state, what does it mean regime, how we can build a state. I am influenced by a writer. His name is Ibn Khaldun. He's an Arabic writer. He's a great philosopher. I read his book and I'm influenced somehow by his idea, but I'm not repeating his ideas. I have also my own idea. And I'm against Samuel Hamilton ideas. I'm the other side of, like Professor Abdul Sattar al-Azdi from Iraq. He said, we have Samuel Hamilton and we have Munir Mezyed. Two opposite each other. That guy is supporting with clash of civilization. Munir is supporting with interculture and multiculturalism. So me, the opposite of Samuel Hamilton. And with Ibn Khaldun, I am in the middle. With Ibn Khaldun, I don't agree with everything that Ibn Khaldun said, but I am inspired by his ideas. But I am trying to develop his ideas more into our modern world, because our world is more complicated than we talk about 20, 30 years or 100 years or 1,000 years. Each year, the world is more complicated, more issues. Because why? This is part of our progress as a nation, as a people, and our law should also move forward. And as more forward we move to democracy, to human rights, as more we will develop. But if we stuck into the ideas of proletarians and all this, as a human, we will extinct. We will not live anymore. We will not survive.
Right, wonderful.
And I think the future, it's for culture. The future generation is for culture. For this, I said that we need to focus on education and culture.
Absolutely right. Tell us a little bit more about, your favorite writers and poets who have influenced you, or with whom you have disagreed, in a way in which it has inspired you. Do you know what I mean? Lots of writing comes out of a disagreement. Lots of resistance writing, or simply writing about disagreement. So tell us more about, your favorite writers, and also some of the writers currently active in the Arab countries that you should be aware of. Can you hear me?
I'll tell you something. The problem with Arab writers, we have great Arab writers. Yes, we have great Arab writers in the past and now and in the future. We will always have. But the problem with, we don't hear those great writers, because the media and the Arabic regime would not let us hear them. And some of them, they were killed before we see their products. Some of them, they will end up in jail. Some of them, they will end up in exile. So this is one of the issues that we are facing as Arab intellectuals or as Arab writers. But at the same time, Arabic literature, when we talk about Arabic literature in general, is very, very rich. And it belongs to thousands of years. We have great writers of Arab world. And we have great poets from thousands of years up to now. We still have, and we will have. This is part of this kind of period, which I see it now. It will pass. The people of the Arab people will come into their reality that they cannot stay on. They can't keep on living like this now. What they are living now under this kind of system, under this kind of regime. So they have to change, and they will change. I have faith in that. I have in faith that they will change. And at this time, when they will change, the whole world will glow with the Arab world, because we are the center of civilization. And when Arab world wake up, the whole world will wake up with the Arab world. So this is what is it? Because Arab writers now, there are so much things surrounding them, so much conflict, so much obstacles in their land. But when we let them free, and to practice their freedom, then we will change. The Arab world will change. I have faith that the Arab will change, because if we don't change, that's it. It's the end of our civilization, the end of our history, and it's not going to be like this. I have faith that I have faith in the Arab world. I have faith in that they will come up and they will change the situation which we are living now. This is a very bad situation. This is a very dark age of our civilization. But this dark, there is a peak of light, you know, and we have to go to that peak of light and to go on. Now, I want to tell you about the and because of these ideas, I have built the foundation Munir Mezyed for art and culture. In this foundation, we have a lot of cultural activities. We try to promote culture. We try to promote the idea of multiculturalism. The net is very weak. The net these days, the net has been giving me it was very weak these days. But anyway, I hope my message reached to your friends. And
yes, I think we've lost him again. So I think we are at the end of time.
And at the end, I would like to thank you for this interview. We hope we continue to do it, to meet and to bring other friends, other poets, other writers I know. We can invite them, discuss with them like what we did today.
That would be an honor and pleasure. That would be very, very nice.
Yes.
And yes, and signal strength is weak here as well. And once I'm in Delhi, it should be better. But anyways, wherever we are, we should try and connect, and we should talk about all of these things, including free voice. And I thank you immensely. I wanted to, share some greetings from my friends. So I'm going to step inside again and just see if signal still works, because I stepped into the balcony. So hopefully it's still there. So we can, we can just say thanks to our friends. The signal situation. So lots of my friends here, they would like to say hello. Prasanna Kumar, Pooja Singh, Sri Tanvi Chakravarti, all Indian poets. Poonam Chawla Sood, Binay Kumar Singh, he's a critic. S.C. Singh is a very nice, somebody who appreciates poetry a lot. Susie Gillo, she's joined us from Italy. And, many other friends. They're all saying hello to you. So thank you again. And,
thank you. I am happy, and I am happy to be with you. I'm honored. I thank you, and thanks to all our friends and who are listening to us. I send them my greeting and my love and my respect. And they can join me anytime. They can read my poetry through Facebook page. My poetry is valuable. It's not hidden. At the same time, my books are also displayed in Amazon. They can go there and download them. It's not that problem. And I thank you so much. And I wish you best of luck. And again, thank you for having me with your show. I hope we meet again. And I'm sure we meet again. And now we hope that Corona will pass, that we will make our festival again. And we'll make it here in Craiova. And you, of course, you will be invited. I promise you that you will be the first one who will be invited to this festival. And you are most welcome. And thank you so much. And goodbye.
Thank you, sir. Honor and pleasure. Thank you, as always.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.